Hello! We'll count down to the end of the semester, right? Alrighty. So my essay was over how video games affect behavior, and I found that frequent play of video games can result in increased aggression, poor prosocial behavior, and even an addiction to video games. I have my little note page right here. So there's a lot of controversy about if video games cause violence, and I found that one study from Sage Journals found that frequent play of violent video games increased levels of aggression even up to 24 hours later. There hasn't been a direct connection between violent video games and physical violence. They measure aggressive thoughts. So like in one study, they did an exercise where they played a violent video game, and then they did an activity where the person who played the violent video game could like buzz, like hit a buzzer, and it makes a loud noise in the other person's headset, whoever they're playing against. And they found that if they were playing a violent video game, they were more likely to hold the buzzer down longer. So that's just an aggressive thought, it's not physical violence. And that's kind of a misconception or a stigma, I guess, that's kind of developed around recent school shootings like Parkland, Florida, and the one in Las Vegas. I also found that video games can decrease prosocial behaviors, and a prosocial behavior is one that benefits other people or society. So a study from cyberpsychology, behavior, and social networking found that playing violent video games has negative effects on cognitions, emotions, and behavior, including a decrease in prosocial behavior. And then they also found the opposite, or the reciprocal, I guess you could say, that playing a prosocial or nonviolent video game actually increases prosocial behavior. I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know if you heard that. That was my dog. Okay, so if it is severe enough, it can develop into an addiction, I suppose, a behavioral addiction. Behavioral addictions include pretty much just gambling. Gambling is the only one that they've actually, I don't want to say figured out, discovered. So behavioral addiction is the compulsion to continually engage in an activity or behavior despite the negative impact on the person's ability to remain mentally and or physically healthy and functional in the home and community. So people who are addicted to gambling, they're addicted to the thrill of the fact that they win sometimes. So they never know when they're going to win, and that's the excitement, and that's the addicting part of it. Which is how it is in video games. Like, you never know if you're going to win the game or if it's like just the thrill of winning, essentially, even if you don't win every time. So this might seem harmless, but there's a study that showed that, it really is, I mean, it was a study, but it was like, I don't know what type of study, but they found that addicts can become violent in the household with those who are trying to take the video games away. And if this becomes severe enough, it can lead to IGD, which is internet gaming disorder. And it sounds silly, but it's a real thing. But in order for it to actually be IGD, it must cause significant impairment or distress in multiple aspects of a person's life. So some of the symptoms include withdrawal symptoms, so anxiety, irritability, agitation when somebody is trying to take the video game away, or they can't play the video game, or they have to stop playing. And then tolerance, which in like substance abuse, it's the need, like only the little bit that you had the first time isn't enough to get you high anymore, so you continually take more and more each time you do it. So when it comes to like video games, they play more and more so that it satisfies that urge. And then loss of interest in previously enjoyed activities, and the risk of jeopardizing or losing jobs or relationships due to gaming. And this is all according to the American Psychiatric Association. So a little bit more on controversy. One of the ones I talked about earlier was if violent video games actually cause aggression, and they cause aggressive behaviors. That's what the studies have been about. But it's often studied as a qualitative measurement. So, like, a quantitative measurement is one that is exact in its meaning, like temperature, like 17 degrees Celsius is 17 degrees Celsius. There's not room for misinterpretation between different people. And so the quantitative measurements tend to be favored in studies of any sort, really. And as for IGD, it's in the newest Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, which is what the DSM-5 is. It's the 5th version. It came out in 2013. But this disorder, it's newer, and it's not listed in under a group with other disorders, because it's listed under recommended for further research, and it needs more information. So it's not as commonly accepted or diagnosed because it's newer, and that's definitely an issue. But that is it. Thank you.